let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Richard. And Richard writes, so apparently Creed 3 is finally starting to move forward, as Michael B. Jordan is in talks to be the director, making this his directorial debut. I still had a slightly bit of hope that Ryan Coogler would come back. Yeah, I think all of us did. But I'm excited to see what Jordan brings as a director. What do you think? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yes, look, we all suspected that we were going to see a Creed 3. Now, Creed 1, directed by Ryan Coogler, who of course then went on to direct Black Panther, did not direct Creed 2. Creed 2 wasn't quite as good as the first Creed, in my opinion, but it was still pretty good. I still thought Creed 2 was pretty good.
Yeah.
But a lot of people thought, Rob, that another Creed film was pretty much an inevitability. They thought it's a sure thing. It's inevitable they're going to do a Creed 3. Well, it really hasn't been an inevitability, because when we think of Creed, you think of a big, big hit. But the reality is the Creed movies have not exactly blown up the box office, right? You look at Creed 1. Creed 1 made a very modest $173 million. Now, that was still a win for them, because I think they only spent about $30 million to make that movie, 30 to 35 to make that movie. Still a win, but not exactly blockbuster numbers. Creed 2 did better, so you see the trajectory going up, but still $214 million. Rob, we've seen movies make more than that on their opening weekend. $214 million worldwide. Again, profitable. That's the main thing. Profitable, but not exactly a big box office hit, right? So I don't actually think that a Creed 3 was an inevitability. Always thought it was a possibility. Never really thought it would be an inevitability, but here we are. They're talking about him doing it. Now, this comes to us from the folks over at IndieWire, who writes, Michael B. Jordan is reportedly in talks to not only star in, but also direct the third installment of the Creed film series. The news was first reported by Deadline with the context of a larger story about the studio MGM, which produced and distributed Creed 2 in 2018, and produced Creed with Warner Brothers distributing domestically in 2015. The first Creed film was helmed by Ryan Coogler, who directed Jordan in the films Fruitvale Station and Black Panther. Creed 2, meanwhile, was directed by Stephen Chappelle Jr., and we talked about that a little bit earlier. Rob, I am often a little bit hesitant and nervous about actors directing their first movie and not wanting to see a first-time director take on a big tentpole film. I love Simon Kinberg, but I was always, I was always not for the idea that his first directorial effort was going to be a big, major tentpole X-Men film. I did not think that was a good idea. I did not think that was the right move. I think he needed something smaller. It is for those exact same reasons, Rob, that I actually think that Michael B. Jordan directing a Creed film is perfect. Why is it perfect? Because yes, Creed, the Rocky franchise, that's a big name. But as we've seen, they're actually small films. They're not made with $100 million budgets. They don't have the financial future of the studio riding on them. They're made for $30 million, $40 million, $50 million. On top of that, he's going to step in and do his directorial debut in an IP, in a franchise that he already knows and is comfortable with. That's key. I think that works into his favor insanely. Like, it's not like he's stepping into some brand new IP and that's going to be his first directorial effort. He is very comfortable in this IP. He's worked with a couple of great directors in this IP already. So if there's an IP that's really ideal for him to do it, it's in this IP that he's already very comfortable in. It's a small film, really, when you consider it. It's a film he's familiar with. It's a character he's familiar with. So, Rob, for me personally, I look at this and I go, yeah, if Michael B. Jordan wants to get into directing, this is the ideal starting point for a guy like him. So now, will he do a good job? I have no reason to believe he's going to do a good job. I have no reason to believe he's going to do a bad job. But if you want to do it, this is the place to start. So I think this is absolutely perfect. And I'm happy that we're going to get a Creed 3 because I like Creed 2. Anyway, Rob, you hear this news. What do you see as the ups or downs?
I think the upside is great. I mean, Michael B. Jordan is a very smart guy. He's been in the industry. You know, I first saw him on Friday Night Lights. He's obviously been in big movies like Black Panther. He's seen how these films are made. Obviously, Creed 1, Ryan Coogler's Creed 1. He's got Ryan Coogler to draw upon, you know, as a resource, obviously, being that they've done 2 movies together. And I think that, you know, for someone like him to take an opportunity like this is what you're supposed to do, you know, in terms of building a career for yourself. And I think he's going to make the most of it. And, you know, it is rough when you're starring and directing, but I keep thinking about people like, you know, somebody like that old Kevin Costner who made that movie, you know, about the wolves, Dances with Wolves, that won how many Academy Awards? And when you really know what you're doing, and I think a guy like Michael B. Jordan is going to be really well prepared and know exactly what he's going to want to do. And I'm excited. You know, I'm unabashedly a huge fan of his. I've been a huge fan of his acting. I wish I looked like him with his abs. You know, I love that guy. I love Michael B. Jordan. And look, man, I got my Killmonger figure right over there, and I wasn't going to get it until they made it with his head sculpt, and they did.
And I'll tell you what, dude, he's already proven he's one of the best acting in the business right now. When you go all the way back to things like Fruitvale Station, and then you look at his performance in Creed, and then you see him in a Black Panther. And what was the one he just did with Just Mercy? The one he did with Jamie Foxx? Yeah. So good in that. If he can make this transition to directing, he's going to be a major, major threat in this business. And who knows, maybe he has no directing chops whatsoever, but I think the best place for him to discover that is an environment he already knows and is comfortable with, and where there's not a lot of huge financial stakes. It's not a huge blockbuster franchise. This is so perfect. Good job for him to pick this as the one he wants to go after. Good job for MGM, because, I mean, hey, if this works, this is a great marketing tool too. That Michael B. Jordan himself makes his directorial debut doing Creed 3. It's a win all the way around. Now let's see how the movie works out. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.